They'd gone to an exhibit about the constellations at the Science Center a year ago, and Tink still talked about it, pointing up at Sirius like she'd discovered it herself. "Aren't those the Pleiades?" The constellation was called the Pleiades, but Hope got the name wrong on purpose, hoping for a snotty-toned correction from her miniature astronomer, or at least a throat-clearing scoff. But no. "Sooner or later, you're going to talk to me," she said. "You're going to open that mouth, and all the words you haven't said all day are going to come pouring out." Silence. "Do you want to ask me questions about where we're going?" They were, after all, heading deep into northern Michigan to a place she and Tink had never been, that Hope had never told her about until today. Tink rubbed her eyes again. "Or maybe what happened tonight?" Her gaze bounced between Tink and the road. "When you're older, you'll understand. When you're a mom, you'll understand." She wanted to say that to her daughter, but she herself barely understood much of what had happened the last 2 days. Still silence. Hope tried a different angle. "I'm telling you, Tink, I know you, and you can't keep this up much longer. I'll bet you $10 you say something to me in 5, 4, 3, 2... She pulled in a breath that tasted like tears and blood. "Please, honey, please." 1, she sighed. "Fine, you win." Her beat-up hatchback bounced over the uneven asphalt, and Tink crawled from the back seat into the front, her elbow digging into Hope's shoulder, her flip-flopped foot kicking her in the thigh. The degree of parenting it would take to stop Tink from doing that, or to discuss the potential dangers and legality of it, was completely beyond her. She was beyond pick your battles, into some new kind of Wild West motherhood. Pretend there were no battles. They drove another 5 minutes until finally, ahead, there was a golden halo of light over the trees along the side of the road, and Hope slowed down. A gravel driveway snaked through the darkness, and she took it on faith that it had been 5 miles. "This is it. Please let this be it." The driveway opened up, and she saw a yellow brick 2-story house. The Orchard House. That was what Mom called it in the few stories she'd told about growing up here. Actually, the words she used were the goddamn Orchard House. It was a grand, old-fashioned place, with 2nd-story windows like empty eyes staring down at them. White gingerbread nestled up in the corners of the roof, and there was a big wide porch with requisite rocking chairs. Seriously, it was so charming it could have been fake. The car rolled to a stop, and Hope put it in park. Her maniacal new voice failed her, and she just sat there, silent. Suddenly, the front door opened and a dog, a big one with big teeth, came bounding out. Cujo stopped at the top of the steps and started barking. Behind the dog came a woman in a blue robe carrying a shotgun. Tink made a high, panicked sound climbing up in her seat. Hope's impulse was to turn the car around and get out of there. The problem was, there was nowhere to turn around to. They had no place left to go. "It's okay, honey," Hope lied. She went as far as to put her hand over Tink's bony knee, the knob of it fitting her palm like a baseball. "Everything's going to be all right." More desperate than brave, Hope popped open the door. The dog's bark, unmuffled by steel and glass, was honest-to-God blood-curdling. "Hi!" she yelled, trying to be both cheerful and loud enough to be heard over the barking. "Get your hands up," the woman on the porch shouted. Hope shoved her hands up through the crack between the door and the car and did a kind of jazz hands with her fingers. "What do you want?" the woman asked. "Are you Peg? I can't hear you." She stood up, her head reaching up over the door.